Law. Joining me now is Priebus, chairman of the Republican National Committee. Mr. Chairman, it's great to have you, and thanks for your patience this morning. I know we got a little sidetracked with listening to the president there, so thank you.
That's all right.
Let me start with
some of it.
Let me start though with Congressman Stutzman's comments, saying that he's not sure what Republicans really want. So, bottom line it for us. What is it, the end game here? What is it that they're asking for? You're asking for?
Well, first of all, I think what he's saying is that we don't know what we're going to be able to get out of it because the president hasn't been willing to talk about this issue and negotiate something that can resolve the problem. I mean, you just heard the president just say, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, there's not going to be any negotiation. He refuses to even sit down and talk to these guys in a way that is in a good spirit and a negotiating spirit. In fact, he called a meeting yesterday. I think he reported on it, of course, that he called in the Speaker and Mitch McConnell and the others and said there's not going to be a negotiation. That's the problem. The problem is
the president said, though, that he's willing to negotiate.
Solution after solution.
He's willing to negotiate with Republicans about the law and what it means.
On what?
When they come to him for solutions and ideas. But why do we need to attach the solutions or changes that go along with a law that has been vetted by the Supreme Court, by a mandate from the people re-electing the president in both houses of Congress? Why should that be attached to shutting down the government? And as the president is saying, basically writing a ransom note and asking for some type of goodie bag in response to Congress doing its job to govern.
Well, those are some pretty good talking points. Let me just rewind.
They're not talking points. That's directly from what the president just gave a speech on.
It sounds like I'm debating the chairman of the DNC here, Thomas. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to debate you.
No. It's not. These are not talking points. This is specifically about what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. and why they have to associate the health care law with running our government. Why not just do a clean CR and get the government back up and running and then take to task, which some Republicans want to do, and then take to task ACA?
Okay, well, first of all, you said ransom note, goodie bags, you know.
That was in the president's speech.
Coming on, I should have figured. Okay, first of all, let's be clear. The Republicans in the House are the only party that has offered a continuing resolution along with an individual mandate delay. A continuing resolution along with a law that says all members of Congress and their staffs ought to be held under the same laws of all Americans across this country, which is fair. It's the president who unconstitutionally has changed a law that was passed, which is Obamacare. He, on his own, has delayed the employer mandate of Obamacare, something now he says that Republicans shouldn't be able to do on the employee side, even though employers aren't going to be providing the mandated coverage to the employees. And it's Republicans that are fighting for what we believe is fair for the American people. At the same time that the American people across this country are trying to get on these exchanges, and in many cases can't get on these exchanges, your station included, CNN included. I think Market Watch tried 51 times and couldn't get on the exchanges.
Right, as the president pointed out, there are over 6.1 million people that have tried to access healthcare.gov. And in Kentucky, the state that the president didn't even win, over 11,000 people were able to access and sign up for health care. So certainly there's going to be a rollout of issues with problems, but don't you think that shows there's a bit of popularity in people wanting the privilege of having access to affordable health care? Maybe
in the universe you live in, it's popular, but in the universe that most people live in, Obamacare is not popular. The individual mandate is down 80-20
But didn't the president win by popular vote? And didn't he also win the Electoral College? I mean, that speaks to popularity, correct?
Okay, so then, in other words, then under your scenario, the Republican-controlled House, which, by the way, they all won too, should just lay down and capitulate to whatever the president wants, no matter how unfair it is, no matter how unworkable it is.
Capitulate at all. But do you think that if we had a Republican president in office and the Democrats wanted to stick some gun legislation into the budget, a CR, a continuing resolution for our nation's budget, how do you think that would go over? Would you approve of that tactic from the left? Because that's the tactic of the right.
First of all, if Republicans were in the White House, were in the White House, we wouldn't have a president that didn't pass a budget.
Just answer the question, Ryan. Would you support having that type of methodology into getting things done and actually taking the government hostage?
I would support a president
gun legislation
leading in this
being implemented into
and
a
sitting
budget
down
CR.
and negotiating like any other president in America would do. The problem is, you had a writer on from the Washington
is
Post
at sequestration levels that was negotiated by Republicans. They agree on what the money needs to be spent.
John Boehner was the
fact is that the ACA has been vetted through the Supreme Court through both houses of Congress, and the president was reelected in 2012.
Negotiate with any Republican in office. I mean, he has redefined what being the party of no is all about, and that's this president.
With all due respect, and if you're looking at the long game here, and I know you are with the RNC.
Keep coming, Thomas.
No. I know you are with the RNC, and you want to keep the House, and it would be great if you could get the Senate. It would also be great if you could get the White House. But when you look at the long game here, and what we know what government shutdowns have done in the past, there are consequences that come along with that. And some people would speculate that there is a Tea Party control taking place right now over John Boehner, and that he's afraid to go up against that. So do you support the Tea Party tactics of what they're doing in the House right now, and do you fear that that's going to have consequences come 2014?
It's not Tea Party tactics. This is what the American people want. They don't want Obamacare. They want a government that's open, and we've got a president who refuses to lead. That's the problem we have right now in this country. This president is stubborn. He wants to give speeches. He doesn't want to sit down and even talk about a single thing that can create a meeting of the minds when you have a split government. That's what's needed. And we've got a president who's not willing to negotiate. That's the problem. So,
Mr. Chairman, when we look at some of the interviews that have been given by some Tea Party favorites, Michelle Bachmann, it seems as if this has been the plan all along. I just want to show it to everybody. Take a look.
We're really very energized today. We were very strong. This is about the happiest I've seen members in a long time, because we see that we're starting to win this dialogue on a national level.
All right, so starting to win this dialogue on a national level, and the Washington Post is now quoting Grover Norquist as saying that he pushed House Republicans into traffic and wandered away, in reference to Ted Cruz, who was also a Tea Party favorite in the Senate that just went through the filibuster that we all covered. I mean, is this really what the Tea Party conservatives have wanted all along, is to demonstrate the power that they have on being able to choke out the American people?
Not at all. Listen, I don't know why we have to keep repeating the same things. We want to keep the government open. We want to deliver a solution on Obamacare that the people want.
Then why not bring that individually?
And
why do you have to hold the budget
Obamacare
hostage to the ACA?
Because we don't want to pay for
it.
Because we don't think it should be paid for, Thomas. We don't think it should be paid for. We don't think it should be administered. We think that there are significant glitches, significant problems in Obamacare that people want a solution to.
What do you think the problems are?
What's
the problem with privilege of American health care?
Oh, okay. So have you been watching the news? Have you been seeing that nobody in this country, in California, for one example, has been able to sign up for this Obamacare that have tried? Did you see that MarketWatch tried 51 times to sign up for this Obamacare? Have you been watching?
Does that mean that Obamacare is never going to work?
Reducing employees to 29 hours? No. What I'm telling you is that at the very least, at this very moment, Obamacare is not ready for prime time, and we have an opportunity under the law to at least delay the individual mandate, which is the last offer on the table that the Democrats have refused to come to the table on.
But does the Constitution really allow for the Republican Party to take the government hostage and shut it down? So
does the Constitution allow for a bill to become a law? Is that what you're asking?
No. What I'm asking is the tactic of allowing for the Republican Party. And we don't have to have a civics lesson here, because I can give you a civics lesson, Ryan.
Become a law.
No. It's not about that. We can go over a civics lesson.
How bills become laws, Thomas. Maybe
with all due respect,
you should watch it.
Thank you so much, Frank. With all due respect.
Okay.
The way that this has been playing out, is it really constitutionally appropriate for the the tactics of the right to take the government hostage over the fact that they don't have a majority in Washington, D.C. right now.
We have a majority in the House, Thomas.
But I don't need to give you a math lesson, but that's 1/3 of power in Washington, D.C., Reince. 2/3 is democratically controlled. So, yes,
so we passed a bill in the House.
You passed a bill in the House,
Senate
correct.
Has a majority,
but if we talk about the ACA, that passed both houses of Congress. That passed through the White House, and it also passed through vetting of the Supreme Court, and the American people elected a president back in office on that mandate against the Republican opposition who ran against the mandate, who, should we remind everybody, actually instituted that exact thing in Massachusetts in 2006.
This is a joke. I think you ought to just apply for a job in the Obama administration or in the communications department
No, I'll
of the
come
DNC,
work for you guys and help you sort out what's going on over there, because your message is a little befuddled, because right now what we're seeing is how government is not working properly. There is a great dysfunction, and you have to agree with that, Ryan, that there's a great dysfunction in Washington, D.C.
And so
right now.
So your approach would be to grow, your approach
My approach would be that our government needs to continue working.
Why would you want to grow something that, if it's so dysfunctional, why would you want to grow something that's so dysfunctional?
Is the budget approved on sequestration levels from both sides, Reince?
Listen,
is the budget approved?
It was,
yes or no?
But
yes
how
or no?
a bill becomes a law, what do you think? Of course, but
I've
how
seen
a
the
bill
cartoon,
becomes a law,
so thanks, Reince. I've seen the cartoon. I know that. And this is a law. This is a law. And if the Republicans actually want to amend this law, they have to do it without trying to choke off the government in letting it run and do its business. Don't you agree?
So we have to capitulate. We have to capitulate.
No, you have to govern.
Whatever the president
You have to govern
wants.
without taking the American people hostage.
Isn't governance that you have to have a president that's willing to sit down with both sides and negotiate
Governance
a deal
is majority
so
rules, and the Republicans don't have the majority.
And do the who has the majority in the House, Thomas?
You have 1/3 of Washington, D.C. Again, I don't need to give you a math lesson.
Thomas, answer the question. Who has the majority in the House?
Right now, the Tea Party seems to. Reince, we got to leave it there.
Okay,
RNC Chairman Reince Priebus, it's good to have you on. We had a lot of time, so thank you. We'll be right back.
Yeah.